You are listening to Just a Cup on Bleav. I am Bryan Fetzer. Please like, subscribe, share, help us grow. And, we are having a great conversation. We're talking hammer throw. If you don't know what a hammer throw is, it is not taking the hammer that you pound into the wall, something, and chucking it at somebody. We're talking about the art of track and field and throwing and the hammer throw, which goes way back in the day. And Annette is, kind of sharing a little bit about, her life, but we're talking hammer, but I want to ask you a question. We're talking about the Olympics, obviously.
Yeah.
How you're University of Cincinnati grad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know Mary Weinberg is another Olympian.
Yes.
I mean, you're the only two female track and field Olympians, if I'm not mistaken, in the
Yeah.
school's history.
Yeah.
What has that been like? Because you live in Cincinnati. It's not like you went to school someplace and you're at another part of the country. You actually live and you work. We'll talk about your job in a little bit, but you work in Cincinnati. What's that been like to be kind of like a trailblazer almost for the school, making an Olympic team and being one of a very few?
Yeah, no, I think, one, shout out to Mary, because she's always been around, because her husband is Coach Weinberg at UC.
And if you wouldn't have said shout out to Mary, I would have probably gotten in trouble. I probably got a text message from her saying I didn't shout her out. So.
But no, she's reached to me and given me advice, just trying to guide me in this time. And I thank her for that for sure. Because it's different, like the attention that comes with this. And it's nice, I appreciate it for sure. The congratulations and everything. But yeah, she's just been helping guide in this time too. But no, she's a trailblazer in the fact, being the first woman Olympian, to medal and gold medal at that, with the Olympic team in 2008. And so I'm just happy to kind of keep going and hopefully, keep the tradition of, bringing medals. That would be really fun. But yeah, I think in my, I guess, respect to what I've done, I was able to be the first, person in track and field history at UC to win a national championship. And so I think with that, it's a responsibility, to hold that honor, but to keep it going is something I'm looking forward to do in Paris.
You mentioned the congratulatory, messages and so forth. Mm-hmm. What has been a message or two you've received that you were like, how did that person get my phone number? Or has there been anybody that's kind of shocked you?
No one that's shocked me. I don't think, if I'm being honest, no one that's shocked me. People I haven't talked to in years for sure. Mm-hmm. But I always appreciate the good messages.
Of course. So. Are they going to put a billboard, up of you, along on UC's campus or something like that? John Cunningham needs to get on that and do that for sure.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully that'd be good. I know they last year they put me on a mural last year with other UC grads who've done really amazing things. They already took it down, so they put up the new ones for this year, but hopefully I'll get one by myself. That'd be fun.
Is there any other UC athletes, going to the Olympics this time?
Yeah, Jordan Thompson for volleyball and Vanessa Gill for Canada for soccer. So yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. And they went as well in 2020. So we were all there at the same time, and then now we're all going to be back. So
that's amazing. Mm-hmm. You'd mentioned that Mary had given you some advice. Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit of advice that an Olympic gold medalist would have given you for your trip?
For the trip, yeah, just just being mindful of the people who will come out the woodwork, and that's all. That was the biggest thing. Yeah. So yeah, just be mindful, because everybody wants to be a friend now, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm kind with everybody for sure.
That is a true statement. Anytime you reach a pinnacle, mm-hmm. people do come out of the woodwork, and you're like, who is this person? I don't think I
Yeah, yeah.
those kind of things, for sure. I mean, you work in, I think a lot of people that, see somebody on TV, see somebody in Olympics, see somebody in professional sports that are not in the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. They wonder, like, how do you get paid? Like those kind of things. And you have a full-time job.
Yep.
It's in Cincinnati in the world of marketing. What is that like, balancing being a full-time employee?
Yeah. No, it's
being a pro track athlete.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot. I've been doing this now for almost 5 years, working full time and training. Yeah, and it's definitely had its challenges, but kind of made it through. But it's really been by the support of like supervisors and managers and directors who are just I'm very transparent about what I'm doing. And they're like, okay, we see you, we get it. They've been able to, like, I work earlier and leave earlier, as long as I'm able to like get my work done.
Right.
They're more concerned with that. And then I'm able to go train. So it's really just been by the support of supervisors and directors that have been helping. Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a shout out to Empower for letting you do that, because it's not easy. I couldn't even imagine, the stresses of both the workplace and the workout place.
Yeah.
It's probably a better thing.
Yeah. And like even my first couple years, like doing that and being able to like training and like competing, especially, it was difficult. Sometimes it would be like, okay, I'm like working up until like my competition. But I think voicing, the need for help and things like that at work, and not feeling like scared to be like, oh, I can't finish all this work right now, or, whatever the case may be. But just being transparent in that process, that's helped me tremendously, helped my directors tremendously, and kind of helped me get to this point. And now I'm not like on the computer up until I'm working or up until I'm competing.
That's good. So, I mean, when do you leave for Paris?
Yeah, I leave in the end of July. So July 25th. Yeah.
Wow. That's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any last minute preparations? Do you have any competitions prior to leaving, or is it just, hey, I'm getting ready for Paris?
Yeah, no competitions before Paris, just tuning up, just really honing in my technique, and getting ready for that, and the time change too.
Wait, are you going to throw out the first pitch at the Reds game or something? Is that big?
They haven't called me yet. But I'm open to it.
Cincinnati Reds, you need to call her and let her know, because she needs to throw out the first pitch. There's no question that needs to be, or you need to FC Cincinnati needs to let you do the intro that happens.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
We need to make some phone calls on those. That's what's it like being in a city as an athlete that sports are so prominent? I mean, you've got all the major, sports. Well, maybe not the NHL, but you have baseball and football and UC, obviously, and even your rival Xavier, pretty big in sports. What is that like?
Yeah, I think UC, or just like the Cincinnati community, is very, like you said, like very into sports. But I think honestly, the support goes beyond those major teams too, because there's been people who've come up to me randomly and been like, oh, I love what you do and congrats on the success. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You never know who's watching. But I think that's the beauty of being in a city like this, where, sports is like a major part of like the heart of the city and kind of the lifeblood. Because they're not just looking at, just the major sports. They're looking at all the sports, like what's making Cincinnati great. And so I think Cincinnati is great in that.
I mean, it's awesome. Is a part of your workout regimen. What's a typical workout? I mean, do you spend a lot of time in the weight room, or is it a lot more technique work?
It's half and half a little bit. So right now I'm lifting 3 days a week, and then I'm throwing 3 days a week. So I'm working out 6 days a week. But then even with the lifting days, I'll have like skills as well. some auxiliary. So I'll have, sprints, I'll have jumps and med ball throws. So yeah, it's a routine, but every other day is there's a routine, but it's consistent, and that's where I've seen a lot of growth. So yeah.
What's the one thing in training you hate the most?
Ooh, okay. Susan would love to hear this. What is my the one I hate the most? When I have really, really heavy front squats. That is what I hate the most. Actually, funny enough, my first year at UC, I did not know how to front squat, and I looked at Susan and I was like, Coach, this is really heavy. I don't know the right technique. Like, I think I'm doing it right. Like, can you? And she was helping me with the technique. And I'm like, can we just, bring the weight down just a little bit? She was like, you're a D1 athlete. You need to grind before you shine. And so I was like, okay, fine. And so I was crying doing front squats.
Wow, that's a great, I've never heard grind before you shine. That is an awesome quote.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal quote. And it is so true. I mean, athletes, everybody talks about what they love to do. They get them prepared. Oh, I love to, do, one turn throws or, I do med balls, whatever it might be. But doing the things that you don't like, those are the things that usually make the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And so the front squats have gotten heavier and heavier every year, and I'm getting better and better every year. So I guess there's that correlation.
Why do you think front squats can help with the hammer throw from a technical standpoint?
Yeah, well, that's the position technically that we are in as we're throwing the hammer. The hips are up, the core is more engaged, and you're just kind of sitting in that seated position almost while you're doing a squat. And that's where all that tension is in the front. And so, yeah, I think that's a high correlation.
You mentioned the weight throw at one point in time. And I know people that aren't track and field fans, a lot of times they see, they do this in indoors and it's the same thing outdoors. But out of all of the events in the sport of track and field, the one that doesn't really correlate is the weight throw and the hammer. I mean, it does in a little bit, but techniques are very different. And just because you're good in the weight doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good in the hammer or vice versa.
So yeah, the techniques are pretty similar, but because the implements are so different,
right?
There's just a different timing, a different rhythm. And then like with the weight throw, if you're stronger, you're going to get that thing out there. Like that thing can go out far. But then with hammer, there's just a lot more finesse. And so there's a lot more emphasis, I would say, on the technique there, and just really being solid in that. So I think, weight throw I feel like that's why I was better at it starting out, because I'm just very naturally strong. And then hammer, I've had to grow a lot in and work on that technique, work on the finesse, because you can't just chuck that ball out there.
No, what have you done to work on your foot speed, on the technical side of things? Because if you watch a hammer thrower's feet and getting their feet down, it's actually, it's very graceful and it's very it looks just so precision. What do you do to improve your footwork?
Yeah. So I would say like the biggest thing is actually the entry. Like how you start is how you finish. And so if you're kind of all over the place in the entry, you're not even going to get that precision as you're trying to step. So that's something that me and my coach have really honed in on. And just making sure that entry is a lot smoother, it flows a lot better. And I'm moving my feet really in the start to match the intensity of the entry. So that's what I've worked on.
It's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. Yeah. So when you went to the Olympics the first time in 2020, and now you're going back in 2024, is there any individual that you think you'll see that you'll kind of become the fangirl of? I've talked to a lot of different people and they're like, man, I was a fool the first time I saw so-and-so. I was like straight fanboy on this, or I was straight fangirl on this. Is there somebody that, you're maybe excited to see over there, or was there somebody in 2020?
There was no one in 2020. I think I was just really just happy to be there at first. But I think now with 2024, I still feel the same way. I'm not going to lie. I still feel the same way. I'm sure it'll be different because it's a different experience. I'm on the US team. So there's so much more star power there, I would say. And so I'm sure when we're at the opening ceremony and we're with everybody, it's not just the track team. I'm going to look around and be like, oh my God, it's, I don't know, LeBron James or something like that, So yeah, we'll see. Right now, the answer is no, but I'm sure when I get there, it might be a different story.
I had an athlete back in the day that they were, at the Olympics with Colby, and they were like doing the opening ceremonies, and they were like, that was the highlight. I'm like, yeah, you got to compete in the Olympics in the highlight, and they were like, yeah, I'll take a picture with Colby. That was And I was like, oh gosh, like that's just crazy. Yeah. But it is true. I mean, you do have the firepower of the US teams that, you guys are going to be all over NBC, all over Peacock, and it's going to be a constant barrage of everything that you really kind of, I don't want to say you train for, but it's the experience you get to participate in because of the accomplishments that you did.
Right.
And that's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah. I'm feeling blessed just knowing that I'll be able to have that experience. So I'm excited.
Is there advice that you would give to the high school, Annette, that you think would help her out now that maybe she screwed up on back in the day, or she didn't do quite as well?
I would say, I think a high school Annette, she was she was unsure of where life was going to take her. I'll say it that way. And to that, I would say, just don't even worry. God's got you. Like you've got this. And he's not going to steer you wrong. Yeah, life will work out in a better way than you could even imagine. So yeah, I'm living in it. Yeah.
That is some good advice. I'm so excited to watch you compete over in Paris and get it done and have fun. And I know as an athlete, getting it done means performing well. Yeah. there's a lot of difference.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to get a chance to see you compete and see you, hit a PB and, make those finals and take care of it and represent you, UC, the United States, your family, everybody incredibly well. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun, and you got an incredible personality.
Oh, thank you.
You so shine. Much. It shines, right?
Thank you. Yes. The grind has happened. Now we're shining.
Hey, I'm going to send a text message to Susan as soon as we get off this and tell her that, because that is a great quote.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Annette, thanks for joining us on Just a Cup, and hopefully you like this show. Hopefully everybody listening, you'll subscribe, you'll like, you'll follow. How can they follow you and follow your journey over in Paris?
Yeah. So I told myself I'm going to do a better job documenting everything, even on my socials. So my IG, my Instagram is Annette Echikunwoke, or Annette_Echikunwoke. So yeah, that's where I'll be.
So follow on IG. We'll make sure we put that in the heading of, or in the realm of the Just a Cup stuff, so you can get a hold of her and kind of send some encouraging messages to her as well. And I know you'd appreciate that, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And for Just a Cup, I'm Coach Bryan Fetzer. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great one and be blessed.